Husband was shocked to discover that he had been paying their house rent to his wife, who turned out to be the landlady of the house he was renting. Episode 1. David sat at the small, wobbly table in the dimly lit corner of their one-room apartment, staring at the ever-growing mountain of unpaid bills. The harsh glow of the single overhead bulb cast long shadows on the peeling wallpaper, adding to the room's oppressive atmosphere. His hands were threaded through his hair, his fingers tugging slightly as though trying to pull answers out of thin air. The numbers on the bills refused to add up, and every possible solution he thought of only led to another dead end. The apartment, which had once symbolized a fresh start for their family, now felt like a prison. The walls seemed to close in a little more each day, their cracks mirroring the ones forming in David's spirit. His heart ached as his eyes shifted to the other side of the room, where his 3 children were playing on the threadbare carpet. Despite the weight of their circumstances, they found joy in each other's company. A battered set of building blocks became a castle, and a few stuffed animals were knights and queens. Their laughter, however, was subdued, as if even they understood the unspoken heaviness that permeated the air. David swallowed hard, guilt coiling around his chest like a vice. These were the moments he dreaded most, when he saw the innocent joy in his children's eyes and realized how much he was failing them. He had promised them so much: a stable home, opportunities to thrive, a better life. Yet here they were, teetering on the edge of eviction, with no clear way forward. The jarring creak of the front door opening startled him from his thoughts. Sarah walked in, her heels clicking against the worn wooden floor. She looked immaculate as always. Her dark hair was swept into a sleek bun, and her tailored blazer and skirt radiated professionalism. In one hand, she clutched an envelope, and in the other, her phone, which she scrolled through with practiced disinterest. She didn't even glance at him as she approached the table, dropping the envelope in front of him with an almost casual disdain. "Another letter from the landlord," she said, her tone devoid of emotion as her eyes remained glued to the screen of her phone. David stared at the envelope as though it might bite him. His chest tightened as he reached for it with trembling fingers. He tore it open and scanned the letter, his heart sinking deeper with every word. "The rent's going up again," he said quietly, the weight of the news pressing down on him. His voice was hollow, a whisper of defeat. Sarah finally looked up, arching an eyebrow as she leaned against the edge of the kitchen counter. "That's life, David. Prices go up. You'll figure it out." Her indifference stung more than the news itself. He stared at her, searching for a flicker of compassion or understanding, but her expression remained cool, unbothered. "Sarah, I've done everything I can," he began, his voice tinged with desperation. "I've borrowed from family, friends, even co-workers. We're barely holding on as it is. I don't know what else to do." She sighed, her tone dismissive. "You're the man of the house, David. It's your job to take care of us. That's what men do." Her words cut through him like a blade. He wanted to shout, to argue, to tell her how much he had sacrificed for this family. But the fight drained out of him before it could even begin. She turned on her heel and disappeared into the bedroom, leaving him alone with his thoughts and the suffocating weight of their situation. David stared at the closed door for a long moment, his jaw clenched. Anger bubbled beneath the surface, not just at Sarah, but at himself. He hated feeling this powerless, hated that he couldn't provide the life his family deserved. His gaze drifted back to the table, where the landlord's letter lay next to the pile of unpaid bills. He reached for one of the overdue notices and ran his fingers over the bold red lettering that screamed final notice. The sound of giggles drew his attention back to his children. His eldest, Emma, was carefully stacking blocks with her younger siblings, her brow furrowed in concentration. At just 9 years old, she already carried herself with a maturity that broke David's heart. She glanced up and caught his eye, offering him a small, reassuring smile. "It's okay, Daddy," she said softly, as though sensing his turmoil. "We don't need much. We have each other." Her words were like a dagger to his heart. He forced a smile and nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "You're right, sweetheart," he murmured. "We have each other." But even as he said it, a voice in the back of his mind whispered that love alone wouldn't keep the roof over their heads. The night stretched on, the air heavy with unspoken fears. David stayed at the table long after the children had fallen asleep, his mind racing with ideas and possibilities, each one more improbable than the last. He thought about picking up a second job, even though his first one barely gave him enough time to sleep. He considered selling what few possessions they had left, though he knew it wouldn't be enough. When Sarah finally emerged from the bedroom, she found him still sitting there, his head in his hands. She hesitated in the doorway, her expression softening for the briefest of moments. But just as quickly, the mask of detachment slipped back into place. "Don't stay up too late," she said quietly before retreating back to the bedroom. David didn't respond. He sat there in the silence, the weight of the world pressing down on his shoulders. The cracks in the foundation of their life were widening, threatening to swallow them whole. And for the first time, he wondered if he had the strength to hold everything together, or if it was only a matter of time before it all came crashing down. If you're hooked and want to know what happens next in David and Sarah's story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode of The Veil of Deceit. In the next episode, David's desperation leads him to visit the landlord's lawyer in hopes of negotiating a rent reduction. But what he discovers in that meeting will leave him shattered, questioning everything he thought he knew about his wife and their marriage. Don't miss the twists and turns as David begins to unravel Sarah's web of deception in episode 2, a shocking revelation.